My ex hired someone to kill me, but didn't get away with it. Almost. Over a year after I separated from my husband, he finally gave up trying to get me back and decided to hire someone to kill me instead. Luckily, the police were notified and an elaborate sting was set up to catch him, which included them pretty much faking my murder. 2 days ago, my ex-husband received a 10-year sentence for conspiracy to commit murder. Can you tell the entire story from beginning to end? Even if you don't consider yourself a good storyteller, it will still give us an outline to ask further questions about. For the first year after I left him, he was in pretty much constant contact. He called, texted, or showed up at my house every single day, and it was always constant fighting. He tried every trick he could think of to try and get me to come back to him, and I continued to refuse. About 6 months before the incident, I completely cut off contact with him, finally realizing that even speaking to him was giving him hope that there was still a chance of getting back together. He continued to follow me around for a while after that, but then stopped suddenly, and I heard nothing else from him. One morning, after the kids were in school, I got a knock on my door. It was a couple of police officers, and they informed me that he had hired someone to kill me, and they were about to set up a sting to gather evidence and catch him. The supposed hitman called him to inform him that the job was done. Then a 911 call was made, reporting a possible burglary at my address. Another police officer showed up, then radioed for an ambulance. More officers started showing up. Then the ambulance arrived. They had no idea it was a sting until they got there. Soon afterward, the coroner was called. He also had no idea. A couple of detectives left the scene to go and inform him that his wife had been murdered and asked him to come to the police station and help them out by answering some questions. He answered their questions, I assume, and then was informed that I wasn't really dead, which is when he went into panic mode. This is pretty much the only way that his reaction was described to me. Then they arrested him. Once we knew that they had him in custody, everyone at my house packed up and left. The crime scene tape was taken down, and then everyone was gone. I was asked to go to the police station because my family was waiting there to see me. Do you know how he reacted after he was informed of your murder? From what I was told, he played the part of the distraught husband very well, until he found out that I wasn't really dead. Were you there for the sentencing? Did it feel satisfying or did you feel pity for your ex? I wasn't there for his sentencing. The detective on the case called me and informed me that he was in court and about to plead guilty, rather than go to trial. I felt nothing but relief. I'm usually a kind-hearted person, but I don't think I have it in me to pity him anymore. How did the police help you fake your own murder? The police conducted a sting in which someone called 911 to report a break-in at my home. The officer that responded was in on it, and called for an ambulance when he arrived. Paramedics, and even the coroner showed up at my house, and pretended to be working a crime scene. It's a small town, so word travels quickly, so they knew that he would hear about what was going on and believe that his plan had worked. Have you had any contact from his side of the family? What did they say? I'm close with several members of his family. They have been very supportive of me through everything. How did you first meet? Were there any warning signs along the way? We met at work. We worked for the same company, although not the same location. Our work brought us to the same location at least a couple of times a week. There were lots of warning signs the last couple of years that we were together, which is why we were separated. Do you think 10 years is enough or will you fear for your safety after he is released? I will definitely be afraid for my safety, and that of my children after his release. Can you block all visitation to your kids? What have you told them and how are they coping? He has no visitation with the kids. I've told them that their father is in jail for trying to hurt mom. They don't know many of the details, but I couldn't keep the basics from them. How did you find out that he was trying to get you killed? I found out about it when the police showed up at my door to inform me that he was attempting to hire someone to kill me, and that they were about to conduct a sting to catch him. I had no idea before that. How did the police find out he hired someone? Did you get any details of this? Was he just trying to make subtle Craigslist ads asking for a hitman? I don't think he tried Craigslist. Instead, He just asked all of his friends if they knew someone who could do it. I get the impression that he only talked about it to people he trusted, but one of his friends informed the police, and then he was introduced to either an informant or an undercover officer who pretended to be the hitman. Are you afraid of what 2024 will bring? Yes, and I'm afraid that he will be paroled long before he has actually served his 10-year sentence. Do you think you'll ever trust someone else enough to have a relationship? I think it might be possible, although difficult, but I'm not really looking for that at the moment. Before the police brought this to your attention, did you have any suspicions? Beforehand, I had a strong suspicion that he was planning something, I just didn't know what. I knew that it wasn't in his nature to just give up on something that he thought he deserved. Have you had any communication with him since his arrest? No, I haven't, and I hope that I don't have to. What inspired you to post this AMA? To me, it's kind of therapeutic. In a way, I'm getting it all off my chest. Also, many of the questions make me think about things that I never put a lot of thought into before. So far, it's kind of helping me wrap my mind around the whole thing and accept it as something that happened to me. The whole thing is still surreal, even in my memory. So what was the contract amount he paid to take your life? I believe that the highest amount he offered was $5,000. Do you have any advice for people that are currently in an abusive relationship and struggle to get out? My best advice would be to get out, no matter what you have to do. I understand the fear of having nowhere else to go, the embarrassment of having to admit to your family and friends what your marriage has become, and having to admit that you've lied to hide the abuse from them. All of that is difficult, but staying is always worse. Wait, is he the father of your children? Did he ever give an explanation as to why he did it? He is the father of my children. The only reason that he ever gave, which I think he gave to the supposed hitman, was that he wanted custody of the kids, and that would be a lot easier if I was out of the way. How long did you have to play dead? Did you warn your close friends and family ahead of time that this was going to happen so they wouldn't freak out? I was only given a few minutes warning myself, and was not allowed to contact anyone, for fear that somehow it would get back to him. The whole thing only lasted 3 or 4 hours, but it seemed like a very long time. How did you feel after you were informed that he was trying to get you killed? Anger? Sadness? Both? Something else? At first, I was just in shock. I can't really tell you how I felt at first, because I don't think I even knew what I was feeling. The first thing I can really remember feeling was worry about my family, knowing what they were seeing from the outside of the situation, and imagining what they were feeling, thinking that I was dead. After that, it was anger at him for putting all of us through such an ordeal. I'm so sorry something like that happened to you. I'm sure I would be truly terrified if I were in your position. You've mentioned in a couple other comments that you have children and that you won't feel safe when he's released. I'm assuming the children are his, so my question is, did he ever threaten the kids? And what do the kids think of their father now? He used the kids as a weapon against me. He was constantly threatening to take them away, or run away with them, and I would never see them again. He even had the kids begging me to give him another chance, because daddy really has changed, and he's nice now. How has his family treated you through all this? Do they stand behind the court decision to lock him up? He doesn't have many family members nearby, but those that I know are supportive of me, and completely agree with the decision to lock him up, although some aren't satisfied with the length of his sentence. My question is, what was your first warning sign he was becoming crazy and you knew he was never going to be that same man you married? Do you think there was anything that could have been done to change the course he was headed? I'm sorry this happened to you. I'm glad you're okay though. I can't honestly say that there was that first sign. It was more like one day, I just realized that things had gotten way out of control. It started with something like, I don't like that friend. I'd prefer we not have her to the house, and ended up with me having literally hundreds of rules to follow on a daily basis. And if I ever complained about something, the solution was always another new rule. If you could ask your ex any question regarding the incident, what would it be? I would ask him if he honestly thought that he could get away with it. During the sting, when you were inside your house and having to stay away from the windows, what was going through your head? How did you feel? Also, How are your kids doing with all this madness? Are they old enough to get it? And if so, do they? It can't be easy, but I hope it's not too hard on them. All that was really going through my head at the time was my family. Once I had been assured that my kids were safe at school and would not hear anything about what was going on, I thought about my relatives and friends on the outside. I asked every few minutes if my mom was outside yet, if she had been told that I was okay, how she was doing, etc. I just kept imagining their feelings as they watched everything from the outside. My kids are actually handling it all quite well. They have been disappointed that they weren't allowed to get their stuff from their father's house, and they miss their friends from his neighborhood. But they understand that he did something bad and that is why they can't see him anymore. Overall, they are doing better now than they were when he was still seeing them regularly. I always believed it was wrong to trash talk their father to them, so for a while, they never really understood the whole separation from my point of view. All they ever saw was their father crying, telling them how sad he was that mommy broke up our family and won't come back. Has he ever seen you in person since the fake murder? In court, perhaps? If so, would you kindly describe the look on that bastard's face? No, he hasn't seen me, and I haven't seen him. Although I've heard that the look on his face when he found out that I wasn't actually dead was total shock. Is there a potential for him to get out on good behavior? If so, does the victim have the right to protest an early release? There is always a chance that he could be paroled before he serves his entire sentence. And yes, I believe that I will be able to testify at his parole hearing. Your ex's actions leading up to the breakup are horrifyingly similar to what my sister's husband is doing. I'm so sorry, I have to ask a question. So I guess it's, would you do anything in my position? It's a fine line where I can't just jump out and say he is a danger. Just make sure she knows that you are there to support her in any way necessary when she is ready to get out. Knowing that I had the support of my friends and family was what finally gave me the courage to leave. What kind of reaction did your ex-husband get once the job murder was done? What was your reaction to his reaction? It was chilling to realize that he spent several hours going about his workday as normal, believing that I was dead and just waiting to be officially notified. Was your ex-husband the former vocalist of AskReddit dying? No, but I have heard of that case. You've been visited by the magical duck. You don't have to do anything, he will simply give you a good day today. Thanks for watching. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video, or don't. Either way, have a great day you magnificent people.